Well, time now for a look at the day's top business news with Brian Quinn from the Business Desk. Now, let's start with the latest on price pressures in the US, and inflation is back.
Indeed it is. The question is it here to stay? We don't know. The U.S. Commerce Department has just reported the country's personal consumption price index for May. The 3.9% jump in consumer prices marks the biggest year-to-year rise since 1992. And most of that gain came from energy prices, which were up a massive 27.4% after a cyber attack shut down the East Coast's main gas pipeline. Personal spending was up by around $2.9 billion, while personal income actually fell by 2% as the government begins winding down stimulus payments. Investors have been watching U.S. inflation very closely for signs that the Federal Reserve may soon raise interest rates. The International Monetary Fund, though, says recent price spikes are most likely temporary as the economy recovers from the pandemic in fits and starts.
The spike in inflationary pressures that we have seen reflects transitory supply-demand mismatches, temporary input shortages, and largely one-off shifts, including commodity price increases coming off the very low base of last year.
And turning next to the day's trading action, that big inflation number failing to rattle the markets. S&P 500 closed at a new record in its best week since April. Investors cheered by the Federal Reserve's conclusion that the U.S. banking industry could indeed withstand even a severe recession. Nike shares jumping over 15% after a blockbuster earnings report, the Dow finishing up 0.7%. European indexes ended the week mixed as investors worry central banks here could soon wind down their stimulus programs. London ended the day up around 0.33%. Paris and Frankfurt on either side of the flat line at the close. The next European negotiators sealed a major deal Friday on reforms to the EU's massive farm subsidy program. The Common Agricultural Policy is by far the bloc's single largest expenditure. At €387 billion, it accounts for roughly one-third of the total budget. Talks for its distribution in the EU's new 7-year budget have dragged on for 3 years, mostly over reducing the CAP's contribution to industrial farming and moving it towards sustainable agriculture. The new agreement will require countries to spend from 20 to 25% of their CAP funds on, quote, eco schemes to protect the environment and distribute 10% of funds to small farms. Environmental campaigners say the deal fails to fight climate change, with many of the sustainability measures difficult to enforce or even voluntary. The bloc's Green Deal commissioner acknowledged that the deal is not revolutionary, but he hailed it nonetheless. Here he is.
If you look at it from a truly European perspective, which is all change is evolution, is reform and not revolution, I think we have reached today a real game changer with this agreement.
Here in France, music lovers are rejoicing after the recent announcement that indoor standing concerts will be allowed to resume starting next Wednesday. Dance nightclubs set to reopen on July 9th after nearly a year and a half of closure. But as the sector tunes up for a revival, plenty of questions remain. Mario Sofas takes a closer look.
Paris-based Australian singer Melissa is taking the rough with the smooth. As live music kicks off again in France, she's been booked for many dates. Yet cafe and restaurant owners, squeezed by the pandemic as well, are only willing to pay her a meagre 2-digit fee.
I think we're all really tired of having to accept something that's less than what we had before. And we understand that obviously it was a struggle for all these establishments too, and they want to maintain a healthy live music culture. But I think it's going to take some time to get back to where we were.
Live music venues and nightclubs have been closed since the beginning of the pandemic, some 15 months ago. Before the crisis, France had 1,600 nightclubs with 30,000 direct employees. 152 of them are now closed for good. 25% of those remaining say they won't be able to comply with health protocols due to their ventilation systems. Festivals are coming back for the summer, but the French music industry's top advocacy organisation, the CNM, says it's not going to be smooth sailing from here on out. Ticket sales are sluggish because of the confusion about vaccine and testing health certificates, along with the fact that many top concerts have already been rescheduled for 2022. In 2020, the CNM distributed €97 million in aid, while so far in 2021 it's distributed €60 million. Government support for the arts and culture sector totals around €5 billion.
Finally, for business, another hurdle cleared in the race to private space tourism. Virgin Galactic announced Friday it has received approval from the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration to begin sending customers into space from its New Mexico facility. The company's billionaire entrepreneur founder, Sir Richard Branson, was initially set to join a test flight to space later this year. Meanwhile, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos is planning to be on board one of his Blue Origin rockets as it heads past the Earth's atmosphere on July 20th. More than 600 people have already reserved seats on Virgin Galactic at a starting price of $250,000. That price is expected to rise once the company starts taking reservations again. Julia, I think you could not maybe pay me to get on one of those things.
I think we might have to start saving up first, Brian,
Yeah.
before we could even venture to
Indeed.
do so.
Moot point, as we say.
Okay, Brian Quinn, thank you very much for that business update. That's it from us. There's more news to come in just a few minutes. We're taking a quick break, but we'll be right back. Stay tuned.